Good morning, everyone. I am the first reporter for the lesson 15 entitled The Project Based Learning in Multimedia. I have here the learning outcomes, the two learning outcomes that the lesson 15 has. First is explain the elements of project based multimedia learning. Second, point out the disadvantage of project based multimedia learning. I have here the four focus questions. First is what is project-based multimedia learning? Second, what are the elements of project-based multimedia learning? Third, why use project-based multimedia learning? And fourth, what are the disadvantages of the use of project-based learning in multimedia project? When you hear project-based multimedia learning, what comes in your mind? What it is? Project-based multimedia learning is a method in which students acquire new knowledge and skills in the course of designing, planning, and producing multimedia product. According to Sim Schemes et al. 2002. The name project-based multimedia learning implies the use of multimedia and learning activity includes a project. A project-based multimedia learning is most of all anchored on the core curriculum. This means that the project-based multimedia learning addresses the basic knowledge and skills that all students are expected to acquire as laid down in the minimum competencies of the K-12 basic education curriculum. The example of project-based multimedia learning is we will focus on the designing, planning, and producing multimedia product. Because the student will going to planning because the students are acquired to plan in creating their multimedia product with their creativity. The learners create multimedia product or presentation. Presentations or product includes combination of text, image, and animation or etc.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Leilani Samonte, and I am going to discuss about the 7 key dimensions of project-based multimedia learning. Those are core curriculum, real-world connection, extended time frame, student decision-making, collaboration, assessment, and multimedia. First is core curriculum. Core curriculum is the foundation of any unit of this type of is a clear set of learning goals drawn from whatever curriculum or set of standard is in use. We use the term core to emphasize the project multimedia learning should address the basic knowledge and skills of the students. Second dimension is real world connection. The project seeks to connect students' work in school with the wider world in which students live. It is critical that the students, not only the teacher, perceive what is real about the project. The content chosen, the types of activities, and the types of products must be real in life. Extended time frame. One, pro- one project may take enough time to enable to come up with a substantial final product. It extends over a significant period of time. It takes days or months. Next is student decision making. In project based multimedia learning, students have a say. However, they are given considerable leeway in determining that substantive content would be included in their projects as well as process of producing them. Next is collaboration. In project, students must collaborate with their co-groups for us for them to share their thoughts and opinions. Next is assessment. There are three assessment concerns in project-based multimedia learning, namely activities for developing expectations, second, activities for improving the media products, and the third is activities for compiling and disseminating evidence of learning. Lastly is multimedia. In multimedia projects, students do not learn simply by using multimedia produced by others. They learn by creating themselves. For examples, they creating video clips, pictures, and etc. That's all. Thank you.
Uh, why use project-based multimedia learning? So, we use project-based multimedia learning because it is a value added to your teaching. It is a powerful motivator as proven in the class. For example, in social studies, the teacher will give a project, like for example, a questioning, um, giving a question to a student of, like for example, the student will make a project or a presentation about the social cultural of a Filipino. So that the examples of a project. So it is actively engaged students in the learning task, as students are likewise engaged in the production of multimedia presentation. So So, for the last question, what can be some limitations of the use of project-based multimedia and learning strategy? So, we have here the three limitations that we see. First is the need for an extended period of time. Second, uh, need to be devoted to learning the technology. Third, the tendency to lose track of the goals and objectives of your lesson. So, first is one limitation that we see is the need for an extended period of time. You need time to orient the students on what are expected of them, guidelines, goals, and objectives of the project, and more so for your students to gather and organize their data, work on their presentations, and the like. So they need an extended period of time. The students need a more time in creating their product or their project to be able to present in creative creatively and organized. So remember, they will be using a combination of a several media, which includes, of course, the computer. So if the basic computer course did not teach them these skills demanded by this strategy, there will be a problem. So to address this problem, this will be the second limitations. Some days need to be devoted to learning the technology. So this can be another limitation, which is the second limitation. So the third limitation can be the tendency to lose track of the goals and objectives of your lesson because the technology aspect has gotten the limelight. So you may get to occupy learning the multimedia presentation, that your lesson's objectives get detailed and your project end up as mere technology lesson. So you have to be sure that the technology aspect of your lesson does not eclipse the academic content, which is the core of your lesson and therefore is more important. The there are a personal postscript project based multimedia learner. It is a book entitled in their book Teaching the New Basic Skills. Richard Morname and Frank Levy. describes set of skills that the students need to be competitive for today's jobs. So these are hard skills. So hard skills, for examples, include the math, reading, and problem solving skills mastered at a higher level than previously expected to high school graduates. Second, soft skills. So, for example, this includes the ability to work in a group and to make the effective oral and written presentation. And the last, the ability to use personal computer to carry out a routine task. So, for example, word processing, data management, and creating multimedia presentation. So that would be all. So as a summary, so project-based multimedia learning does not only involve use of multimedia for learning. The students end up with a multimedia product to show what they learn, so they are not only learners for academic content, they are at the same time authors of multimedia product at the end of the learning process. So that would be all. Thank you.